All right, welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to Open Live Q&A. I want to make sure everything's good. Well, welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to another Open Live Q&A. I'll just say it all over again, I guess. This is week number 131, and I am Mr. McLogan, and I'm excited to go ahead and take your questions on your math. So yeah, the last 2 weeks I've been out from my studio, so it does feel good to be back in the studio. And then again, you had to go ahead and chat from you guys. I see a whole bunch of you are on here from all over, which is really cool. So Concept seeing you all from Africa and Henry. That is so cool. And so awesome to see that my videos have made it kind of all over the globe and have been able to also hopefully help you out. So, hey, Cooper and Michael, if you have a piecewise formula question, then feel free to go ahead and submit it. And well, awesome. So happy to be able to help you out. You guys, if you are wondering where you can go ahead and post your comments, you can just go to brianmclogan.com. Why didn't I put that up there? Let's go and see. Have a question. So yeah, if you do have a question, guys, you can go ahead and post it at brianmclogan.com/Q&A. Or also just make sure you guys can also go ahead and check out the Discord server. You guys can also post questions there. And there are students that are willing to help you out and answer questions, just like we have for these open live Q&A. So I only take questions here that get submitted. Sometimes I will be able to address questions that are in the chat, but it is very difficult to kind of like be reading the chat and, you know, writing things down and thinking. My computer is actually being a little funky today, so I wasn't able to take copy and paste the pictures, but it is really helpful when students like submit, you know, either a document or a picture. So then I can just go ahead and like cut it and put it onto my desktop so we can all look at it rather than like having to write it out every single time, which just kind of gets a little tedious from there. So, but yeah, definitely if you have any other general questions or anything else that I can help you out with, I'm more than happy to, help you out as you guys go through chat. I can see everybody from out here. Yep. Organic tutor, organic chemistry teacher. We'll definitely give some love as well. Hey, Rona, how are you? I'm glad to see you back on. And are you friends with the organic? No, I don't really know the organic chemistry teacher or tutor from on there, but I definitely know of them and definitely have watched, the videos. I think a lot of the content is very well done. They said, he said my name. Yeah, Concept. But I have school in 2 hours, but my maid, well, awesome. So happy. Hopefully you can go and take a snapshot and then you can show it, back in the school that, yeah, 2 hours. Best of luck. Another good day. I'm in Algebra 1 and stuck on some questions. I wish I could submit them through the website and Discord. Yeah, you definitely can. So I'm not sure why you can't, but feel free just to go and do it. They're both free, so nothing costs anything for you to go and do that. But again, if you're not able to do it this week, you can definitely do it next week. And I plan on going live all throughout the whole school year. So that should definitely work as well. Hey, Gabe and how much going? I can't believe we're so close to school. Yes, it is now. Now I'm in back to school mode. So it's like I got back from a little bit of vacation. It is July. So now I am getting ready and geared up for the content that's going to be getting you guys prepared or getting ready back for school. So that is our main job now that we will be focusing on. Well, so happy to help you out. Yeah. Well, I greatly appreciate it. And I think you had the question that was on the systems, so I really appreciate you with the compliment. But that question, that's something I would definitely have to go ahead and look at a little bit deeper on that. So not something that I'd probably be able to cover on the live stream. I think it would just take a little bit more work than I'm usually able to show. What's up, teacher? All right, little R's, just because I usually don't have time to do this, but I will do one question for you because I am a little light on my questions. So I will go ahead and do one question, but please guys, I usually do not go ahead and take equations from chat just because I hate doing it. But since today, or at least from here, right now, my computer is acting up. I had to write all of my equations up there. Is that really a 3 + 2? Can you go ahead and verify that? That doesn't make any sense. 4 times 3 + 2. I guess it is, but I mean, if it isn't, just let me know. Just confirm that. Anyway. Okay, that's perfectly fine. I totally understand. So basically I go up to calculus 1, and that's one thing I'm looking into, kind of wrapping up and then continuing going on a little bit further from there. There we go. That's about the same. Okay. Well, not a problem. I just want to make sure I would just, maybe check out, go from there. Yeah, there's, I get it. Um, so sorry to hear about that. All right, I'm in pre-calc. I was wondering if you can teach how to find the derivative in the stream. Yeah, one thing I will be going through, I can do some basic derivative stuff, but one thing I am planning on doing is going through a lot more calculus stuff, coming up for this year. So, hopefully that will also help you out with your pre-calculus and getting prepared for that. But yeah, a lot of the calculus, it's just been a couple of years I've gone through. So I'm really trying to go back through all of my content for calculus, to kind of refine all of my teaching. Yes. What are things you should specifically go over when taking calculus? What are some things you suggest to students to specifically go over when taking calculus? Speci- go over when taking calculus. I'm not sure what you mean by when taking calculus. Yeah, you're definitely going to want to, be doing the work that you need to. I'm not really sure what that question means, actually. Well, awesome, Connor. So happy to help you out. So how do you prepare for Calc BC after taking pre-calc? Well, the main thing is like Calc BC is just going to be moving a lot faster than Calc AB. So, you could definitely probably even get started with some introductory. You could probably self-teach yourself some basic like integration, some basic derivatives, some limits, like learn some of those basic stuff. You can probably self-teach some of that. I would probably recommend that to kind of get an idea of that content. And then really, I think the only other thing that really a lot of students, get stuck on is like the algebra 2 stuff. So, I just maybe go back through your algebra 2 curriculum and, a lot, especially from pre-calculus, all that heavy like rational functions and polynomials and all that kind of stuff. And do a lot of that to just kind of review from there, because that's usually where students get stuck with in calc. That's a great question. And I do not actually have an answer for you. I've looked at a lot of different math books, but I do not have one that I would kind of recommend as being like a great calculus book for like kind of self-teaching, or to kind of go from there. But I think I'm assuming there has to be some good reviews, from people that have spent a lot more time like diving deep into the calculus books to kind of give you an idea. I have a question. There's a matrix 2 by 2 called A inside of, and this matrix is power X. So X equals. I'm not sure. That's something I'd have to go back and sit down. So I'm sorry. A lot of the math questions I would need to, go down, go back and like review. And if it's going to take me time to be able to think through a math question or like go through, a lot of times I'm just not going to cover that stuff on a live stream, just because, again, then it's just you guys watching me think and go through problems. And sometimes I don't have all the information I need. So I got to spend some time reviewing, content, stuff like that. So I'm doing algebra 1, but do you have any tips for studying square roots? I'm doing algebra 1, but do you have any tips for square? Yeah, I think you definitely need to know your square numbers, right? You need to know the, square numbers like 9, 16, 25, 36, 49, 64. Like, I think knowing them, and then also knowing like what numbers like divide into other numbers, like, what your composite numbers, like how they break down. And so I think if you just kind of get used to like working through, and usually you don't really need to like practice a lot of those. It really just kind of comes into practicing a lot of examples with square roots, and that will kind of get you where you need to go. Okay, I'm assuming that was before getting into calculus. Are there some specific things you'd recommend that would ease the process? Yeah, exactly what I just talked about. Like going back through your pre-calculus, making sure you are really good with factoring, making sure you are really good with like rational functions, asymptotes, wholes, like graphs, functions, function notation, transformations of functions, like a lot of the beginning stuff in algebra, a lot of the trig, right? Trig, making sure you know your unit circle, all that kind of stuff, I think is going to be very important. So, yeah, I would just review a lot of algebra 2 and I would review a lot of your algebra 2 and pre-calculus work, go back through your tests and quizzes and review a lot of that. I don't have a calculus review, yet, but that is one thing I am working on to get into there. And I'm not sure about that. I haven't decided when or if I will be doing something like that again. So it was really fun, but I'm also just really pressed with my time. And that's kind of my issue. Like I really want to do more of that, but also it just kind of stinks because I'm like, it just takes so much time and also takes away time away from me being able to do things that I need to be doing for my channel. Right. And so it's just that kind of balance, like what is the good balance where I can still be interacting with students and creating them, but then also creating content that our people are going to need. Yeah. Yeah. Actually, James, good call. I know Math Sorcerer. He does have some comments. He does have some uh, book recommendations that I have seen on his channel that I think would be great. I want to know if you're, I'm assuming familiar with complex analysis and analytic algebra. Not familiar enough with them. I mean, I took them, but it was back in my college days, so I wouldn't be familiar with any of that material to be able to help out. Unfortunately, apologize for that. Well, awesome. That is good to hear. At what age can I start calculating? I'm 16. I'm not really too sure. What age can you start calculating? Not really. I'm not sure. Hey amigo, any recommendations on what to brush up for Calc 3? Took the last semester off and I was thinking about brushing up on some trig, of course. Yeah, I mean, it's been a while since I took Calc 3 as well. So, I mean, I would just brush up in your, anytime you guys are going from one course to the next, even if you've taken a break or not, like, I would just recommend, like, one thing I talk about students at the end of the year is like creating a cheat sheet, right? Going back and reviewing all that material to prepare for that end of the year exam. Well, I think the same thing is like, as you're going into a new course, right? Or let's say you haven't done anything. And again, guys, it doesn't matter if it's calculus, it doesn't matter if it's algebra 2, pre-calculus, geometry, whatever. Go back through the previous course, right? Let's just say you're starting in the next 2 months, right? Or in the next month, whatever. Find 2 weeks and just spend 2 weeks, like 30 minutes a day, just reviewing over your old tests, your old homeworks, your old, quizzes. Just start going back over all of that material, right? Obviously, some material is going to be more important than others, right? And I can give you recommendations, but sometimes my recommendations might be different than what is actually going to be needed in your school or with your teacher. So, make sure you go, just go back through all material. There's nothing, I don't think there's going to be that much of a waste of a time of going through some of that material and, just kind of practicing some problems, right? And maybe rewriting down some of those notes and like putting yourself back into that mindset. But I think that's really the best way to prepare going into the next class, no matter what it is. And hey, Jacqueline, delta epsilon proofs. I do not have any specific recommendations from there. Sorry, I'll take your advice. Well, good. Hey, I'm a fan of your vids. I'm taking Algebra 2 over the summer, over July. Have any tips? I'm scared I'll forget everything. Yeah, I mean, just remember whenever taking a class over the summer, I mean, it's going to be like quick and fast, right? So whenever you have something that's quick and fast, like you just got to make sure you set aside time to make sure you are able to do all the work and do a little bit more, right? So just make sure, like, obviously it's summer, so it's a balance, right? You got to be taking some time. There's a lot more activity that's going on, right? But you got to make sure you set yourself enough time to be able to do the work that you need to do inside school as well as outside school. And yeah, and I just say the same thing, like make sure you're try to take as good notes as possible. Keep all of your tests and your quizzes, review your tests and your quizzes, review your notes on a daily basis, right? It's a very quick, process. So make sure you're kind of staying on top of everything. I have no idea. It's all different for everyone. Yeah, I'd just practice constantly do as many problems as you possibly can do. So get an ACT book and an SAT book, whatever, it doesn't matter which one you're taking. But I'd get many of those books and I'd try to go over as many example problems as you possibly can. I don't know why so many people are doing calculus here. I don't know. There's people from all over my channel. I mean, I have stuff on algebra 1 through calculus. So it really just kind of depends on, where people that are chatting, but there's, my channel is not designed for algebra 1 or calculus. It's basically all the way through. And obviously there's many people from all over the world that are taking different classes, but still some of the content is going to spill over to what their courses are. So yeah, I definitely say that there is a wide range of students, or at least on the stream. I have no idea, but again, I'd check out Math Sorcerer's channel for that. Do you think it's a good idea to take AP Math? Yeah, I mean, I'm kind of a little torn on this. I've seen a lot of students that, I think AP Math has kind of might have ruined their ability, from there. Like, I think there's this pinnacle of like, let me take as many AP courses as possible. And that's the only way that I can prove or compete against other people or other students, right? And I think I've seen like from a lot of students that just burnt them out. It was just overwhelmed, right? Now, obviously, if you're like strong in mathematics and maybe another course and like that's where you want to like get some AP credit. Like I think AP credit is amazing. I think that's like such an awesome thing that that students have the access to. But also the idea of just like putting AP stuff like all on this pinnacle where like that's the only thing that is important, then students are just striving for that and they're just worried about getting AP credit and they're not really learning about learning all of the stuff, and it's a lot of stress and it's a lot of work and it doesn't always turn out that great. So I think if you're taking AP credit to really kind of challenge yourself and you're not going to overwhelm yourself, then yeah, I think it can be a really good thing. Cool. I took pre-calc and trig this past 2 months and I failed. It was accelerated and I obviously just didn't put enough time or understanding the material like I need to. Hey, totally cool, man. I really appreciate you putting in that comment, because I'm sure it wasn't like really great to like type that out and then have random people, read it. But I think it's really important that you kind of like accept it and like realize it. Okay, like things didn't go the way they were supposed to. The world is not coming to an end. Like I can do this, right? And so yeah, go back at it and you can definitely do it. I've definitely had this conversation with many students that failed my class, and it's not fun, right? I'm like, hey, come over here. You failed my class. Like that sucks. It's not cool. But guess what? I really want you to come back next year. I want to see you take this class. Or if you take it with another teacher, like I know you can be successful. And I want to say the exact same thing to you, Colvin. Like I know you can be successful. Put in the work. Just the fact that you wrote that down means that tells me that you are willing to, do some things that a lot of students aren't, right? Because it's very easy just to kind of like get mad, blame somebody else, to not worry about it, not show up on a live stream that's about mathematics and just kind of give up, right? So kudos to you and keep going on. I think you're going to be happy to see that you can overcome this. Well, I mean, of course we need people that get PhDs, but I don't think a PhD in mathematics is for everyone, for sure. Out of sequence, which would you consider the hardest? Calc 1, Calc 2. I would consider Calc 2 to be the hardest, at least just from my experience. And I think that's also from what other people have, kind of heard, as well. Cause, basically Calc 1 is fairly basic. And then you really kind of get into that application based Calc 2. But once you kind of know the foundation for Calc 1 and Calc 2, then Calc 3 is just kind of like a streamlined version of all that. Yes, but you're going to have to submit that to my links if you want me to go over those at the moment, because I'm kind of a little overwhelmed from here, but I got to go and get to my questions. But yeah, you can definitely go and submit questions. I will be available for you each and every week to help you out. So hopefully you can keep on, stay with it and yeah, submit your questions and I'll help you out. Yeah, I mean, you got to do math, right? I mean, and that's the kind of thing that kind of sucks about like doing math. Like, I mean, if you're not doing math, like you're going to forget some things. And obviously, so, I mean, obviously there's a lot of things that I, I've done so often that come back to me really quickly, but yeah, like I'm trying to go back through a lot of content, that I hadn't taught in years, right? Calculus I hadn't taught in 4 years by now. It's like, there's a lot of things I forgot. So I got to go back through that curriculum. That's why a lot of times I don't like teaching calculus on live streams, just because I know my, explanations are not going to be on point and I don't want to give out like not on point explanations. So, I got to go back and like refine and buff things out. So yeah, you definitely forget to, a lot of those like, theorems and rules and stuff like that. So yeah, you gotta, but again, unfortunately, like I used to tell my students this all the time. I'd be like, you guys should feel sorry for me. I do math all day. Like you guys complain about math class, but I'm like, I literally do math each and every day, like math problems. Again, like I quit becoming a math teacher. And what am I doing? I'm making math videos. I literally sit in this office and do math problems. Like if I'm either working on a video or creating some content for my courses, like I'm just doing math problems. So, but again, like I enjoy it. So don't feel bad for me, but it's always a joke I always like to tell. Well, I do have a lot of videos. I'd go and check out a playlist on math advice. I definitely have a lot of videos on improving your math skills. So maybe I'd go ahead and recommend you to go and check those out. But I'm not really sure what you mean by not smart, because I think you can definitely be successful in math, no matter kind of where you're at. So definitely go maybe check out some of those. Check out that playlist, and I think maybe you can get some nuggets from there that will help you improve. Well, awesome. Happy to help you out. Any tips for people who need to get started on geometry soon? Yeah, I mean, you just want to make sure you're really good with actually that question that you saved me, like the solving two-step equations. You're going to want to make sure you have that really well. Huh. What the heck? Add it, insert it. I just added. That was so weird. Okay. Well, it said I could insert an ad, and I've never seen that before. So I was like, sorry guys, I just decided to insert an ad. It was weird. I've never seen that before. It was like Google sent me to it. So I guess it's a way to support the creator by throwing in a little ad. So first time trying that. I may not do that again. Actually, let me go check my chat. I think my chat is okay. Let me just go and check this. Yeah, subscribers. Okay, cool. As a ninth grader, should I go through Calculus 2 as I've just finished Calculus 1? Yeah, of course. I mean, again, like anything where you guys are at, like I would definitely go ahead and check in with your counselor, your math teacher, and your parents, right? They're going to give you better advice than what I am, doing, because I don't know everybody's situation and where you're at. I am 38 years old. Sure. Akmal Rada. Hopefully I pronounced that right. Akmal Rada. So please let me know. Give me maybe a thumbs up if I did that correctly. But yeah, the AKM ABD didn't do as much justice. So I appreciate you giving me your name. Although I'll probably will forget that though if I try to refer back to you again. So I apologize for that in advance. Could somebody who's not strong in math do engineering? Yes, but you just got to understand the wall that you're up against. Like you got to put in the work, right? And it's going to be a lot of work. So like, can you get a math degree when you're struggling in math? Yeah, that's what I did. Right. But it was a lot of work. So, I think you just got to understand what the costs are going to be, and what you have to do to achieve it. And then go for it. What you do if you don't like doing math? But I just don't enjoy it as much. Well, if I don't like doing it, I'm good at it, but just realize it's not for you, right? So you don't enjoy it, fine. Then don't go into a field where you're gonna have to do math, right? Do what you need to do to get by, and then find what you do want to be doing, right? So if you're good at it, cool. There's maybe not a lot of things, but there's things that like I can do, but I don't want to do, right? For instance, let's put it this way, like painting, right? So I worked on a painting crew. I can paint. I know how to paint a whole house. I've done a whole painting, whatever else, but I'm like, I don't want to paint a house, right? Even though I just did. But again, like I didn't want to paint my house, right? So it's fine. Like you can definitely I didn't become a painter, right? Even though I became, I guess maybe when I was working, I became relatively good at it, but I didn't decide to become a painter, right? I decided to do something else. So, just realize whatever courses you need to get by, whatever, track you're on, do the math that you need to do. Right. But then, try to focus on more things that I think were in the direction that you want to go. Right. But I think it's great that you understand that. But don't just give up on math, or saying, oh, I don't enjoy it. Cause sometimes, I didn't really enjoy math until I was in college. So I never really enjoyed math in high school, never enjoyed it in middle school. It wasn't until I got into college and I got into upper level mathematics where I was really like, wow, this is really, really cool. Now I really, really want to become a math teacher. Right. So up to before that point, it was just kind of this, I was like, I'm kind of okay at this subject, but that was kind of it. So, don't just give up on it. Still kind of stay the course. But yeah, just realize there was probably maybe something else out there, and keep searching. There are a lot of awesome videos on that. Maybe I check out Blue. What the heck is that channel? But yeah, there's a lot of great videos on this. But yeah, I mean, you're looking at your imaginary unit, which would be the square root of -1. Is just a quick little answer for you. But I think you're definitely going to want to see a visual representation of blue ball, brown ball, whatever it was, something like that. But yeah, they have some awesome videos. They'll give you like that visual understanding of the complex numbers. You are very welcome. Is it true that even number grades are the easiest? No, I've actually never heard that before, but I could maybe agree with you on that actually. But I mean, at least for like high school, like 10th and 12th would probably be easier than 9th and 11th. But I don't think that's like in general for everyone and everywhere, but I think that probably. The same thing, create a same thing I tell everybody, and same thing I tell everybody. Same thing I tell everybody in the in taking in geometry, like create a book that you can go ahead and write down all the definitions and all that kind of stuff in. And that's the best piece of advice I can give you. Well, hey Lan, how are you? I recommend doing calculus, or pre-calculus and algebra too. I think those are really good foundational courses that you're going to need to know. And you are very welcome. I'm unable to understand any algebraic, geometric, or linear math concepts. I got a 59 this year because I just don't know what I'm doing wrong. Advice. Well, I'm not sure, where you're at, but I mean, yeah, I mean, you probably need a tutor, like somebody to kind of work with you step by step, kind of going through your tests and your quizzes on what you got wrong, why you got it wrong, and that you can answer questions in real time, right? So if you have like a tutor lab, that's something free, that'd be awesome. If you don't, maybe you can see if you can find a tutor or a friend or something that can kind of go through that stuff that you didn't understand. And I think the most important thing is like ask them questions in real time. Like, why are you having trouble with that? Doesn't say that math teacher yet. I mean, it's not a misconception. I mean, most math teachers have gone through either getting a degree in mathematics or definitely passing a math aptitude test. Doesn't mean that they are amazing at math, but again, like most math teachers became math teachers because they're good at math, right? Or they enjoy mathematics. And all I say is like my story is just a little bit different because I struggled at math. But I did kind of enjoy it. I just struggled at it and I didn't really love it until later that after I decided to become a math teacher. Yes, sometimes I do for sure. I go ahead and check my channel. I have actually it was like 2 weeks ago. I have a video on that. It'd be a lot easier than me talking because actually my voice already is already trying to feel hoarse. So I can't really understand it. I think I would well, it could be. I mean, there's definitely from there, but like, I don't think like, I don't know if I agree. Like I don't know what you mean by you tried that. Like maybe the person you had wasn't a great tutor for you. Like maybe you got to try something else. Right. And yeah, like if you keep on like, didn't understand something and then you go by years and years and then you're trying to like understand why you don't understand it, like there might be a lot to unpack there, right? So don't be too hard on yourself for not understanding the material, and also don't be so hard on like maybe a tutor or somebody that's not giving you instant satisfaction, right? Like with improvement, like give yourself a little bit of leeway or give them a little leeway and keep on putting in the work. And hey, Math Gives Power, good to see you on. I had to get a degree in engineering. Geology that I did an alternate second math teacher. Yes, I did have to pass the test too. That's awesome. Yeah. And, and I think that's like a majority of, teachers, like a majority of people that are math teachers, like they took the placement test or they have some kind of like, degree that's around mathematics that gives them a really good foundation to help explain the concepts, and especially ones that teachers that even might have had some like real world, or real world, activity actually working in there to be able to kind of show you different like aspects of like engineering or physics, that can, actually show you a little bit more of the applied of why you're doing some of the, math that you actually are learning inside of the school. Because like math alone. Well, guess what? I'm not a teacher. I stepped away from the teacher last year. And so, yeah, I'm doing, and that's one of the reasons why I stepped away from, being a teacher, was just because doing the YouTube videos and doing like right now well, not right now, but like when I get back to like doing these live streams, had a grading to do and getting prepared for my lessons, and now I have 3 kids, and like it just became like overwhelming for me. So I had to focus on one thing, and I decided that I would focus on kind of creating more content for YouTube. And so, yeah, but again, like I do math, I'm by myself when I do math. It's kind of lonely. Like I'm talking to you guys, kind of. That's why I do kind of miss like doing those tutoring sessions with me. But that's why I kind of definitely do, miss those, or like doing some group apps. So, or kind of group, Zoom chat. So we'll kind of see if we can go ahead and bring those back up from in there. Well, thank you, Nadia. All right. Well, hi, Michael and Nadia. I said, Gabe, I do not recall. I would have to go back and take a look at epsilon delta definition proofs. Actually, to be honest with you, I need to go ahead and brush myself back up. Well, awesome. So happy to be able to help you out. And Mahintsa, maybe, hopefully I have it. I'm from Sri Lanka. You're teaching. Well, awesome. So happy to be able to help you out. All right, let's get into some math, ladies and gentlemen, because I've been talking a lot and I've been out of town. And when I've been talking and out of town, I have not been used to talking this much on my live stream. So I got to get into some math. You guys can definitely put in, comments into the chat. I'll try to go ahead and check them, kind of I can. But if you do have math questions, I'm probably just going to get to these 5 for the sake of time that have been submitted. But again, next week I do go live, guys, every single Sunday night. So if you guys do have questions that you want me to ask math related, if you're taking a summer class or you're getting prepared for the next school year, we only have a couple more weeks if you really break it down until the the next school year is going to begin. So if you have those questions, feel free to join them at brianmclogan.com/Q&A. And then also, I cannot recommend this more than enough, guys, to go ahead and check out the Discord server. I think it might be your best buddy throughout the school year to be able to either, help students out with their math. Like, you can become a tutor yourself and actually answer questions. And like students like, oh, how do I get better at like pre-calculus? Well, start answering questions from other students that are trying to learn pre-calculus, right? Or in pre-algebra, and like go back through, like there's math from all over the world that's, questions that are being asked and being able to help students out. And I think the more questions you answer from other students, the better you're going to be at math, and the better you're going to be with your understanding. So definitely going to recommend that you go ahead and take a look at that. And then also, it can be a great way for you to be able to ask questions throughout the year. If you get stuck, you can definitely go and submit in there as well. To be honest with you, I don't recall. I have a lot of videos I've been working on, so there's definitely gonna be a lot coming up this week that I'm looking forward to submitting for you guys. No, that's a lot. An overview of quadratics. Wow, that's like two or 3 or 4 weeks of instruction. But I definitely have some. I'll definitely have some videos. Actually, I do. Do I have that video? No, I don't have the full videos. But no, I mean that's a lot of content from in there. I'm not sure if there's something specific that you're looking for in quadratics. Then feel free to just go and shoot it inside of the at brianmclogan.com/Q&A. Otherwise, I am going to get on to my live stream. All right. I'm actually going to see if I can stand. I can. Oh, that feels so much more better. Okay. I don't know why you have I don't have a good access to any hard problems. So I mean, there's a lot of, I would just go ahead and take a look at the art of problem solving. They have a lot of great problems to be able to do. But yeah, I'd maybe go and check out their curriculum if you're looking for some kind of like advanced stuff from there. All right. So, well, awesome. Fancy pants. All right. So let's go and get into some of these questions that we have here. Why am I doing this in red? I should be doing this in red, right? Yeah, I always do this in red. All right. I downloaded like a whole bunch of videos on my computer, so my computer is probably not very happy with me at all right now. But so my penmanship might be a little off, but we'll try to do our best here. We'll start to do quadrant. I don't know anything about them. Well, they're fine. You're starting them tomorrow. Like hopefully your teacher's going to go through a lot of the basics for you, stuff like that. Like that's good. But if you go ahead and check in like my playlist, you'll see I have a lot of content for like, graphing and factoring and stuff like that. So I have a lot of videos on quadratics to kind of help you through, but just follow what your teacher is teaching and how they're explaining things. And then obviously as you need help, you know that I'm here to help you out. Okay. First one is given a function. They want to find the vertical asymptotes, horizontal asymptotes, slant asymptotes, the y-intercept, the x-intercept, and any discontinuities. So the first thing we want to do is definitely go ahead and factor this. And so what I'm going to do is I'm just going to put these around parentheses because what I want to see is if there's anything I can divide out in the numerator and the denominator. So I want to be able to factor this with two numbers, multiply to give me a -8 and add to give me a 4, but I have to stop my instruction because Kevin is being extremely generous and sending me a super chat. Wow, Kevin. Well, thank you so much. That is like amazingly awesome of you. Brian, you and Math Superman helped me tremendously in learning math. I just finished differential equations and I'm moving into computational math. Without the foundation you provided me, I would not be close to graduating with a computer science degree. Thank you so much. Well, you are very welcome. And thank you so much for the super chat. I'm so happy that the videos that I made and explanations I provided have been able to help you get where you are. And so thank you. Thank you so much for that. I really appreciate that. And Math Superman. I'm actually not aware of Math Superman. Can you like submit that link into the chat so I can go and take a look, and anybody else can also take a look because that is really awesome and I'm really appreciative for that. So thank you. And I'd also like to go and take a look at the content. Okay. So what two numbers multiply give you -8, add to give you -2, right? So I multiplied those out and I added them, right? So that's what we get here, and that's factored out correctly. Okay, so nothing divides out. Cool. So let's see here. What do we got? So we have a vertical. Oh, I got to take off that. Sorry. I don't want to take it off. Well, you already have it in the chat, but I know people are going to be looking at the math. But thank you again. All right. So for my vertical asymptote, all we simply want to do is we want to find the continuity or the values that make their denominator equal to 0. Those are going to be our, what we call our discontinuities. Or actually, I think this was removable. I don't know. Those are going to be our non-removable discontinuities, our vertical asymptotes, as long as they don't divide out, which in this case, we were able to confirm those do not divide out. So what I can do is I can just take this now in factored form. That's why it's always helpful to actually factor it out first, right? So I already rewrote everything in factor form. Now I can just take my denominator and set it equal to 0, right? Now, again, nothing divided out. So therefore, you could apply the zero product property, which would be setting these both equal to 0 and then solving. So you get x is equal to 4 and x is equal to -2, okay? Now, those are going to be your vertical asymptotes. To find the horizontal asymptotes, what we want to do is compare the degree in the numerator as well as in the denominator. And in this case, whenever the degree in the denominator is larger than the degree in the numerator, then your horizontal asymptote is going to be y is equal to 0. When you have a horizontal asymptote, in this case, so a slant asymptote is only going to occur when my degree in my numerator is larger than the degree in my denominator. So therefore, we are not going to have a horizontal asymptote. So slant asymptote. So that's going to be none. And then to find the y-intercept, just remember, guys, the y-intercept is when x is equal to 0. So if I was to plug 0 in for x, that'd be 0, 0, 0. I'd have a -3 over -8, which would be a 3/8. So therefore, that is going to be x is equal to 0. So we could say y is equal to a positive 3/8. And the x-intercept is when y is equal to 0. So basically, an easy way to kind of set that up is like if you were to set this equal to 0, right? If I was to like place that as a 0, well, the first thing I'm going to have to do to solve for x is I'm going to multiply by my denominator on both sides. I'm not going to do it because it's going to take a little bit more work. But basically what you have here is 0 is equal to x minus 3. So whenever you need to find the x-intercept, just set your denominator equal to, your numerator equal to 0. And now you can see x is equal to 3 is going to be my x-intercept. And then I believe this was the removal discontinuities. Since none of my factors divide out, this is there's no removable discontinuities. These are all non-removable, which are our vertical asymptotes. Okay, now here's another example where we have the zero product property, right? You can see we have a product equal to 0. So don't divide by x squared minus 16 on both sides, right? I didn't divide by an x minus 4 on both sides here. What you're simply going to do is set both of these equal to 0. So I have an x squared minus 16 equal to 0, and an ln of 4 minus x is equal to 0. Okay, so set them both equal to 0. So I didn't show my work over here because it was a little bit elementary, but over here, we're definitely going to want to go ahead and do that. So because now we have a quadratic and we have a natural logarithm, but the product is equal to 0, so we can set them both equal to 0. Now, to go ahead and solve from here. So there are a couple different ways we could factor this, or I could simply just add the 16 to the both sides, right? So I get an x squared equals 16, and then I could take the square root, and therefore x equals, remember, whenever we introduce the square root, that's going to be plus or minus a 4. Now, in this case, we have the natural logarithm is equal to 0. So what we can do is, if we want to get rid of the natural logarithm, what we can do is going to exponentiate to both sides with base e. Now, the reason why we're going to want to do that is because the rules of logarithm. The rule of logarithm says if I take e raised to the ln of x, that's just going to be equal to ax, or whatever is inside of that argument. So therefore, e raised to the ln of an argument is just going to be a 4 minus ax equals e to the 0. Now, anything raised to the 0 power is just going to equal 1. So I have a 4 minus x is equal to a 1. And then I can subtract a 4, and I get a negative x is equal to a negative 3. And divide by negative 1, divide by negative 1, x equals a positive 3. Ah, gotcha. Yeah, Professor Leonard, he has great content. Yes, I appreciate it. Yes, the stream will definitely be live on my channel. Well, awesome, Tony. Happy to help you out. All right, the next one, this one was finding all the zeros. And again, I couldn't copy the student's questions, so I'm not sure if there's any other fundamental things here, but so I'm just going to work with just finding all the zeros. Now, so we have the polynomial, right, fx. Now, if we want to find the zeros, we want to basically find when this equation equal to 0, okay? Now, whenever you have 4 terms, one of the things you want to be looking for is, oh, we wanted to verify using synthetic division. I'm not going to do that for the sake of time. I'm just going to go ahead and find the zeros because I recognize this to be a problem that we can factor by grouping. So I'm going to set equal to 0. And now, now what I want to do is be able to look, whenever you have 4 terms, look for grouping. And when we're looking for grouping, basically what we're doing is we're going to be grouping the first 2 terms and the last 2 terms. Now, it's very important, though, that I'm going to rewrite this specially, okay? Because I've done a lot of mistakes on this on my videos, or I've done a lot of mistakes teaching this in my classroom. So I want to make sure, because a couple things I don't want you to do. I don't want you to group it like this. Because if you group it like this, you basically turn this polynomial into multiplication problems, right? So we don't really want to do that. What you can do, though, is rewrite the problem with like when I say like x squared or a 7x squared minus 3x, that's the same thing as adding a negative, right? So what I can do is I can rewrite this as an x cubed plus a 7x squared plus a negative 3x minus 21. Now, why am I changing the subtraction to an add a negative? The reason being is because now I can group these first 2 terms and I can group these last 2 terms, right? So now what I want to do is factor out the GCF of each of these groupings separately, okay? So I look at this and say, all right, what is common between these 2 terms that I can factor out? And hopefully you recognize that's an x squared, right? Now factor out the x squared, I get an x plus 7. Then over here, what common terms can I factor out? And again, we're looking for that, whatever we're going to factor out, we want to get to x plus 7. So I want to factor out a negative 3 because obviously I want my x to be positive. So when I factor out a negative 3, I'm again left with an x plus 7. Now, what I want you to recognize is I have this polynomial and I have 2 terms, right? They're separated by the subtraction sign. So I have an x squared times x plus 7 minus a 3 times x plus 7. But again, what do they both have in common? This x plus 7. So that is what I'm going to factor out, right? So 0 equals a x plus 7. Now what's going to be left over? Well, that's going to be an x squared and a 3, negative 3. So that's going to be a x squared minus 3. That is what is left over. Okay, now again, we have the 0 product property, right? So I can write a x plus 7 equals 0. And a x squared minus 3 is equal to 0. Now here, x equals negative 7, right? Now in this case, though, let's do it just like the 16, right? I can say x squared is, let's go ahead and show our work. So let's go and add the 3 to both sides. So I get a x squared is equal to a positive 3. Take the square root, take the square root. X equals a plus or minus the square root of 3, right? And we're not going to be able to simplify that any further. All right. And last one is the directrix y equals 0. The focus is A. Okay, so whenever you're trying to write the equation of the parabola, the main thing I want you to do is just plot the information, okay? So the first thing we're going to have is we have a directrix at y equals 3. So 1, 2, 3. So I'm just going to draw a nice little directrix here, y equals 3. And the focus is going to be A. We're going to call it A, which is at 2, -1. So 1, 2, -1. Okay. So I'm going to label that focus. All right. So there's a couple things that I want you to understand about the directrix and the focus. First of all, the parabola always opens up towards your focus, right? So I know my parabola is going to open up something like this. It's going to open up down. That's very important to recognize because remember your axis of symmetry, right, always goes through your focus, okay? And it's perpendicular to your directrix. So this is your axis of symmetry. And I can't write because my computer is not happy. Okay, so that's your axis of symmetry. All right, now the vertex is going to be the half distance between your vertex is going to be the half distance between your directrix and your focus. Okay, so if we kind of count these, this is at 1, 2, 3, 4. So 1, 2, 1, 2. So if I kind of find the distance between 3 and -1, like -1 plus 3 divided by 2, like try to find the midpoint, right? That's going to equal A1. That's where I'm going to go right there. That's my vertex. Okay, so my vertex here is now at what? 2, 1. Okay, so I have my vertex. The distance from my vertex to my focus is 1, 2, right? But again, that's going to be my P. But notice that we're going in the negative direction, right? We're going down, right? So it's very important to recognize that we're going down. So therefore, P is equal to a -2. All right, so now we have a vertical parabola that's opening down. We just need to know what is the formula for a vertical parabola that opens down. That is going to be a x minus h, let's see if I remember it, quantity squared equals a 4p times y minus k. Hopefully I remember that correctly. So remember hk is going to be your vertex, so that's h, and that's k. So we have a x minus 2 quantity squared equals a 4p. Now remember, p was -2, right? Again, the distance from your vertex to your focus is p, but again, also it's going to be in the negative direction. So therefore, that's going to be 4 times a -2. And then it's going to be y minus a 1, y minus 1. Okay, so now let's just go and simplify. X minus 2 quantity squared equals a -8 times y minus 1. And there you go. That's your equation of a parabola. All right. Last question. I guess we never get back to. I guess this is it. So now this one. So here we can't simplify. So whenever you're like solving an equation, you always want to be able to simplify whatever you can. Right. Now the first thing I recognize here is actually, let's just apply it straight apart. You can simplify 3 plus 2 to give you 5, and then 4 times 5 is going to be 20, right? I can do this over here. You can do it this way. It's probably simpler or easier this way because you can combine these. 3 plus 2 is going to be 5 and 20. But again, you could also do it via distributive property like we're going to do for the other problems, all right? So let's do it that way as well. So whenever we have these parentheses, we want to get rid of these parentheses. So how do you get rid of the parentheses? Well, then you apply the operations that the parentheses are designed to tell you what to do. These parentheses are telling us to take 6 and multiply times the x minus 2. Take a -3 and multiply times the x plus 1. Take a 4 and multiply by 3 plus 2. So let's just go ahead and do that. Because once we apply the operation, we don't need to keep the parentheses anymore. Okay, so 6 times x is a 6x. 6 times -2 is a -12. -3 times x is a -3x. -3 times 1 is a -3. Okay, and that's going to equal 4 times 3 is going to be a positive 12, and 4 times 2 is going to be a positive 8. Again, notice it's going to be a 20. All right, so now let's just go and combine our like terms. Sometimes we can just rearrange things, right? Put the x's next to the x's, put the numbers next to the numbers. A lot of times that just makes things a little bit easier to go ahead and combine. Then on the right-hand side, though, we can definitely add those together. That's a 12 and an 8, which is going to be 20. 6x minus 3x is going to be a 3x. And if you owe me $12 and you borrow $3 more, you now owe me $15. And that equals 20. Okay, so now I will add a 15. And then I get a 3x equals a 35 and divide by a 3. and x equals a 35 over 3. That is how I would like the answer to be written. However, you could go ahead and write it as a mixed number, right? So you could say how many times does 3 go into 35? And you could say that to be 10, it would be 11, and almost 12. But you could say 11 and 2/3, right? If you wanted to write that as a mixed number. I don't know why you'd want to, but sometimes for graphing, writing mixed numbers is going to be helpful. Whew. All right, ladies and gentlemen, hope you guys have a great week. I am happy to be back in the studio, and I look forward to seeing you guys next week, again at 9 p.m. Feel free to guys to always go ahead and submit your questions at brianmclogan.com/Q&A. All right, cheers.